The following podcast is brought to you by Iconic Nation Media.
Welcome to The Winning Edge, the podcast where champions are built and legacies are made. I'm Leonard Wheeler, former NFL player turned entrepreneur of 24 years and co-executive director of the NFL Legends community. After years of being on the field, I've learned that the real game starts when the stadium lights go out. This show is your all-access pass to the mindset, strategies, and leadership lessons that fuel success beyond sports. Each week, we will dive into what it truly takes to win in business, leadership, and life. We'll discuss how elite athletes, game-changing entrepreneurs, and industry leaders turn discipline into dominance and setbacks into comebacks. The next play is yours. Sometimes it's not the enemy that derails us. It's the inner me. Welcome back to the Winning Edge podcast. I'm Leonard Wheeler, and today I want to talk about something that challenges every leader, athlete, and believer. The quiet war between ego and purpose, and who's calling the shots. Ego versus purpose, and who's calling the shots. Ego wants attention. Purpose wants alignment. Ego says, look at me. Purpose says, work through me. This episode isn't about judgment. It's not about judgment, I promise, because all of us deal with ego versus purpose. All of us. It's about awareness, because until you understand who's calling the shots inside of you, you'll never fully walk in your calling. I just believe that. Jeremiah 17 says this: the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can understand it? Every day we've got to check the motive behind the motion. And I know I've had wrong motives. And a lot of times we don't receive things because we ask with the wrong intentions. A lot of times we don't create the impact because we go into it with the wrong motives. We go into it with I need me to be seen instead of I need to make sure that you are noticed. So let's dig into it. The subtle power of ego. Ego, first of all, ego is sneaky. We call it, talking to Dr. Derwin Gray, who's a great friend of mine, we talk about how ego means edging God out, right? It doesn't always show up loud. Sometimes it hides behind excellence, charisma, even faith. It whispers things like, be right, not relational. It whispers things like, be seen, not steal. Or be recognized, not refined. Ego loves the spotlight, but it hates accountability. Now, okay, let me change that a little bit, because sometimes ego appears to love accountability because it talks about accountability, but it doesn't want to be accountable. It wants to hold other people accountable. It craves applause more than authenticity. Ego says, protect your image at all times. Always protect your image. Purpose says, fulfill your mission. Now, I know you can all be torn on what I'm saying, and it's okay. We are just talking right now. We're having conversation, even though I'm having a conversation with myself. When ego drives, we compete where we should be collaborating. Okay, when ego is driving, it says compete. When purpose is driving, it says collaborate. We isolate when there's ego. We connect where there's purpose. Philippians 2 says this. It says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves. How do we do that? How do you value other people above yourself? Let's start in your home. How do you value your kids above yourself? Sometimes we tend to do that. Sometimes we will make them dinner or lunch or breakfast and we're exhausted. We're valuing them above ourselves. Pride isn't strength, it's armor for insecurity. So when you think about being able to die to your pride, die to your ego, you think sometimes I'm pride, I'm holding on, I'm standing. I see it all the time with men when it comes to going to get freaking checked for a doctor visit. The pride and sometimes the stupidity of the ego continues to rise up, and you think it's your strength in this armor for insecurity. And until that armor cracks, purpose can't breathe. I'm just speaking truth. You don't have to like it for it to speak truth. Okay? Everything in the Bible that we talk about, you don't have to like it for it to be truth. So let's talk about how purpose leads with vision, not validation. Purpose doesn't chase applause, it follows assignment. Okay? Applause follows purpose. It just does. It's not moved by trends, it's anchored by truth. And we're talking about purpose here. We're not talking about ego or pride. Think about it. Jesus never performed miracles for attention. Matter of fact, he would tell people, go away and don't tell anyone. And what we do is that we tell people to go away and tell everybody. I'm just only speaking truth. You don't have to agree with it. So Christ did them out of alignment with his Father's will. So he did what he did because he was aligning with his Father's will. That's purpose. When you align with your will, with your purpose, you're doing it out of not selfish conceit, but you're doing it out of aligning with getting someone else what they need. Purpose asks different questions. Like it asks questions like, who can I lift instead of who will see me? What impact will this make instead of what credit will I get? Am I serving from calling or am I reacting from comparison? And whatever you do, do it heartedly as unto the Lord and not unto men. That's Colossians 3:23. When you're rooted in purpose, you don't need the validation. And that is so tough. Your fruit speaks for you. I remember Dr. Miles Monroe. He used to tell me all the time before he passed away. This was in the 90s when he first told me this. In 1999, he told me, he said, Leonard, don't ever chase money, chase adding value. I never forgot that because he wanted me to not have my eyes or my vision on money, but he wanted me to have my eyes and my vision on purpose. And he said that your purpose will bring your value, will bring you the desires of your heart, like your values will do those things for you. So what is the winning edge reflection? Ask yourself, if no one ever clapped again for you, would you still do it? If your answer is yes, then purpose is leading your life. So let's talk about how ego blocks leadership and emotional intelligence. Okay. Now, first of all, just take a deep breath. Breathing through your nose, out through your mouth. Relax your shoulders. Ego destroys what emotional intelligence builds. When ego leads, leaders stop listening. They then justify mistakes instead of learning from them. So it's easy to justify a mistake, or it's easy to point the finger at a mistake because you don't want the finger pointed at you because you feel that you're the leader. I believe this. Egos lead from insecurity instead of true identity. But when purpose leads, you lead with humility and wholeness. Like there's a different, when purpose is leading, there's a humility and wholeness that exists. Like you ever been around humble leaders, how they just make you feel like you are part of the team, like you communicate to connect, not to control. You create space for others to shine because you're secure in your own light. So you create space for people to be people and for them to do them, to bring their strengths to the table. And as they bring their strengths to the table, you know how to help them to identify this is how we're going to implement your strength. Self-awareness is the bridge between ego and purpose. You can't master what you want. Okay, how do I say that? You can't master what you won't admit. Did you hear what I just said? You can't master what you will not admit. You can't be full of yourself and full of the Spirit at the same time. I mean, you can argue whatever, you can argue however you want, but it's the truth. God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. That's James 4:6. God opposes the proud. He gives grace to the humble. When you humble, and when I humble myself, I don't lose power. I gain peace. When you humble yourself, you don't lose power. You gain peace. And not only do you gain peace, you gain respect. You gain people listening to you. You gain people wanting to be around you because they want to be around you, not because they have to. Now, listen. Doing podcasts or having revelation or sharing, it's not about you getting upset at who's delivering the message. The getting upset should happen because your heart either doesn't align or you are around that space that's not aligned. So let's talk about the shift from ego to purpose. So how do we make the shift? Here are 4 moves that I want you to think about that can change everything. Number 1, pause before you post or speak. Pause, that means don't move. Pause before you post or speak. Why? Ask these questions. I'll ask this question. Am I trying to make a point or make a difference? And what is my objective for what I want to post or speak? Number 2, practice gratitude. Gratitude starves ego. It starves it. When you're grateful and you're coming from a place of being grateful and gratefulness, it starves ego because ego feeds on entitlement. It feeds on selfishness. On me. Number 3, invite accountability. Find people who love you enough to confront you with realness. Invite it. Like, invite accountability. Like, and then once you invite it, don't punish the people that share it with you. Don't punish them because you did not really want accountability. It sounded good coming out of your mouth. Find people who love you enough to confront you. Number 4, return to your why. If you've left your why, ego obsesses over what. Purpose lives in why. Ego obsesses over what is this going to do for me? Purpose lives in why. Man, I just believe this. Over the years, and it's been a lot of them, I've lived in both ego and purpose. I have confronted things in my life that were selfish that I was doing, and I've confronted things in my life that I believe that was humility. And I've failed with ego. I've edged God out of so many different areas in my life. The thing that I love about the Father is his forgiveness and his grace. Be a person that extends grace. So there's a scripture I love. It says, it's Mark 10:45. It says, for even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. When ego leads, you want credit. When purpose leads, you want change. So let's finish up here. And we're going to kind of talk about a spiritual anchor, and we're going to talk about a takeaway. Ego builds walls. Like, it builds walls, not just for people to see you, but also from you to see people. Purpose builds bridges. It allows you to say, hey, we can meet halfway. We can come and we can collaborate, and we can make this work. Ego seeks control. Purpose surrenders control. Oh, did you hear me? Ego seeks control. Purpose surrenders it. Ego says my will. Purpose says thy will. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. That's Psalms 51:10. That's a daily detox of a purpose-driven life. Checking your heart before chasing your next move. When God cleans your motives, he can trust you with momentum. Because purpose will take you places where ego would have destroyed. Purpose is what's left when pride burns away. So, and let me just tell you, sometimes it is scary to die to self. But when you do, you stop edging God out and you create a bridge that takes you across to your purpose. So here's the question I want to leave you with today. Who's calling the shots? Your ego or your purpose? Because the answer determines your impact, your peace, and it also determines your legacy. When ego leads, you chase recognition. When purpose leads, you become recognition. You don't need the stage. You don't need a stage to make an impact. Just a heart aligned with purpose. This has been The Winning Edge, and this message hit home with me because it is a place that I've struggled, and I sometimes still struggle with, ego versus pride. Share it with someone that's wrestling between identity and intention. But in the meantime, stay humble, stay hungry, and stay aligned, because always starts within. God. Thank you for tuning in and listening to this week's episode of The Winning Edge. You can write in and ask your questions on my Instagram page at LeonardWheeler7, and I will address your questions on an upcoming episode. If this episode helped you, I would love for you to share it with your friends, colleagues, and family. Share the episode with those that you feel can benefit from it. You can also follow me on Instagram, TikTok, X, and LinkedIn, found in the show notes. I would greatly appreciate it if you would rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Subscribe now, and let's build your legacy.